Michael, how's it going?
It's going amazing, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm all right. We got in contact a while back, actually about 2 months ago, and you were diagnosed with MS in 2018. And you just want to tell your story, explain how it affects your life.
Yeah, so in 2018, I had the fateful experience of trying to figure out all this stuff that was going wrong with me, and just issues in guys on the job site. At the time, I was working in industrial construction. I was a helper in industrial construction. The guy's going, "Yeah, we think you should go see the doctor." Of course, me as a guy and as tough as I am, going, "No, I think I'm good. I just gotta stretch it out." Then I'd spend maybe the first 15 minutes on the job site just stretching it out. And then eventually I ended up seeing my parents back when they lived in California. And they we ended up walking, and then at some point I just couldn't walk. Then of course I stretch it out and then walk maybe 100 more yards, not able to walk anymore. And then we kept on going and stopping and going and stopping and going and stopping. And then I hit the realization that, yeah, maybe I should get this checked out. And the
Right.
fateful day that the doctor walked to the door, got the white walls in front of me, and my mind going blank. And then the doctor going, "I think you have multiple sclerosis." And then
Mm,
just going blank, "Hey, what is that? I'm not sure." And then realizing that, hey, like the doctor going, "Hey, I want you to take a pill." And that's basically the only thing to do. And I'm like, "Is that it?" Then the
hmm
conversation with a dad going, "Hey, there's some people who have changed their lives, who are improving and who are getting better, and they've done drastic measures and they've taken control of their own health. Or you could do what the doctor's saying, and you'll end up in a wheelchair in a little while."
right.
So
hmm
after sitting on it for maybe a couple hours, I was like, I got to change things around, and then took control and then decided that I would work on all the alternative stuff that's possible, but I need to be my own best advocate and take
hmm
on discipline, habits, just change my own thoughts because I thought, hey, who do I know who's the most positive person around me? Like the person who's going to help me move forward and they're going to keep me positive. And then
Right.
there just really aren't that many people in all of our lives. So I went,
hmm
I don't know who that is. So I went on my own journey and took control of my own life. And then I decided that I would change my entire direction just off of that.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I got to tell you, that's an absolutely. First off, I'm sorry this happened to you. But the fact that you just kind of grabbed it by the throat and you're like, all right, I'm gonna make you my bitch is basically what you're doing.
Pretty
You know what I
much.
mean? And that takes a person with a level of fortitude that we just don't see in today. We just people that just give up, take the pill, take the shot, and they don't question it, they just do it. And I think that that's a mindset in and of itself that you were able to say, you know what, I'm going to do this myself. I'm not going to rely on medication. For people that don't know, what is MS?
MS is, I mean, anything that there's not a medication or a drug or a cure for, it all gets labeled a disease.
Right.
So I feel, to me, a disease is something that if you get it, you're going to die. And there's like the Black Plague. That was a disease. MS isn't on that level to where I like to call all that a condition. That's just condition. You have it. How you deal with that condition, all that is dependent on whatever step that you choose to take and whatever you're doing. Because I know I'm in some MS groups, and all of those
hmm
guys are getting worse. That's because they're doing what the neurologist is telling them to do, and as you know that whatever they're telling you to do, that's whatever's in the medical norm, and it's a Band-Aid for whatever the solution is, and everybody gets worse over time. Nobody gets better taking the DMD, the disease-modifying drugs, or the DMT, the disease-modifying treatment. What MS is so it attacks your nervous system. So on your nerves, they have something called myelin. And what the myelin is, it's a fatty covering over your nerve wall. And MS wears down that myelin. And then the people whose myelin's in a better condition, those people are more functional. And then the people whose myelin's getting where it's getting worse and worse, those people, I believe, they're actually in the worst condition overall. It's just it's something that attacks your myelin and then wears that down, and then your myelin's this fatty covering. I don't know if I said that, but it just wears that down, and then it makes it so that that's basically not there anymore.
The myelin deficiency. What are the symptoms of that? Is it tingling in the arms? Is it nerve like, you know how like you settle you lay on your arm too long and it falls asleep, or is it something similar to that feeling, or is it something
It's
different?
some people get muscle spasms.
Ooh,
Some
okay.
people that they Some people get something called MS squeeze. I've only experienced this once. It's the last time I drank alcohol because after this, I decided it's when imagine somebody puts a vice clamp on your body and they just
Okay.
tighten it down more and more and more, and then they decide to stop, and then it just stays there.
Mhm.
And then at some
Right.
point, they take the clamp off, and then you get back to feeling the way you felt before the MS squeeze, and then maybe the next day, maybe you'll get another MS squeeze, and then it'll
Okay.
disappear, and then maybe the next day you get another. So after experiencing that for about a week, I was like, the pain is not worth the pleasure of having alcohol to drink. MS can affect everything from your eyesight to your muscles working to whatever it is that it's amazing how much your nervous system controls and it impacts.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally, you know, everything you do involves muscles and nerves usually, and people that listen to my show know that I work in surgery. So I've seen all the anatomy fairly up close. So it's like nerves are one of the more tricky things in the human body because they don't heal like regular tissue. It's the slowest growing, slowest healing part, one of the slowest growing, slowest healing part of the body. And that's why spinal cord injuries are so bad. And, so the nerves are a very, what is it? They're important, but they're also very pesky and tricky to heal. I wanted to ask if the fat around the nerves, the myelin, if it wears away, what do you do to do that? To kind of to counteract that
So, I
scenario?
mean, to counteract it, what I'm doing to heal my myelin is put yourself on like a high fat diet. And that's good fats. That's not the Cheetos and all that. Like if it's lard, tallow, and raisins
Yeah.
best as you can get. That can help your myelin repair. Raw egg, like egg yolks, that can help your myelin repair as well because it's fat. Just a lot of good fats and stuff. I know when I was seeing a naturopath, he ended up talking to one of the older doctors that he knew. The guy was like, eat three egg yolks a day. He was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah, that works, like, you'll heal that." So, it's doing that to where you're replacing the fat that's getting used up, and then placing that as best as you can and moving forward. Because MS is one of the tricky. Because there's a lot. Because 'cause I've heard of people, they put people on high dose melatonin. That works.
Mm, okay.
Just because My body uses melatonin more than everybody else's does. So,
Okay.
because of that, one doctor, he had success doing high doses melatonin. I'm doing high doses vitamin. I'm working on getting up to high doses vitamin D. Some people had success with vitamin D. Some people have success with melatonin, the egg yolks, fats, whatever it is. All that helps just because MS seems to be a condition that you just use up more of what you organically make, and then just because of that, you have to replace all of that, and then so that your body can function as best as it can.
Gotcha. So that makes a lot of sense, though. I mean, obviously, I'm not a doctor, but I mean, it's almost like it's a natural or it's a depletion of nutrients or like fats and that kind of stuff is what it seems like, right? Like the body's processing it too fast.
Right.
Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's just using it up way too fast, and then just because it's not normal what's going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything from healing up your gut to a whole bunch of other factors that anybody can do, all that is something that will help out whoever has
Mm.
MS.
So basically, what you're trying to find is the root cause of the MS, and then just treat that, right? Is that what you're trying to do?
There could be multiple root causes of
Okay.
whatever you're dealing with. That's the tricky thing is maybe you have metals inside of you. Aluminum metals seem to be a a a cross that people die on. That if
Mm,
you could have some parasites that are in you. There been multiple issues that people have found. And then it seems that MS, whether you're, I mean, aluminum, whether you're getting that from your deodorant,
mhm.
whatever shots you were given along the way, just whatever it is that can be whatever that you're dealing with. It's going back to whatever your root cause is.
Right. Do you think that there's a causation or link between the vaccines that we get as children and MS?
So there's a lot of nasty stuff in all the vaccines.
Mhm.
And if you look at today's vaccine that they give kids, the schedule, you're giving kids
Mhm.
like what, 50, 100 shots, all within a
Right.
very, very small period. And to not say that that's not the cause of some issues,
Some issues. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
And then aluminum, and the reason why aluminum is in vaccines is because it mocks something more serious. So the issue is your body doesn't know how to deal with it or get rid of it or anything. So when it's in you,
Yeah.
it could be stuck anywhere from your brain to your leg to God knows
Mm.
where. And then when that's in your body doesn't know how to get rid of it. So
Mhm.
it just stayed. And then I know I don't remember what the guy's name is, but even some of the guys who are experts on getting aluminum out of your body, they'd all
Mhm.
say aluminum's something very, very tricky to get out of your body.
Where does it hide? I mean, if you know.
It attaches itself to, and then it just stays there.
Gotcha.
And then your
So it could hide in the muscle, it could hide in anywhere, huh?
yeah, and then your
So,
body goes, "Oh,
okay.
hey, because this isn't supposed to be here, there's an issue," and then that causes whatever is going on.
I had a guy on the show, his name was Victor, and we were talking about just all the stuff that's in food and how bad it is, and and it's listen, I don't know if it's some sort of grand scheme to keep us sick, which it very well may be. But, I mean, unfortunately, we need the vaccines, right? Because if we don't, we're going to have like, you know, mumps and measles and all this stuff it's even worse. So, and obviously, we're not going to hash it out today, but how do we fix this and how do we keep people from getting sick? But then again, as a medical professional, the longer I do this show and I talk to people like yourself and Victor and a couple other people, you realize that the medical field doesn't want, especially pharmaceuticals, they don't want us to be better. They want us to be sick because they're dependent upon us um to sell their shitty medications.
Pretty much.
That's all it is. I've gone down this rabbit hole with people before. This is all because of Rockefeller and his stupid petroleum company. He had enough money to influence education in the medical field. He had enough money to influence everything. There needs to be a systemic overhaul for everything: our nutrition, our medication, our education, everything in this country. But unfortunately, and I don't think we're going to see it in our lifetime. How does the MS affect your day to day?
Years ago, I ended up walking. I was living by myself, and I've
Hmm.
always lived on the second floor of an apartment building. Just I don't
Right.
know why, just that's always been whatever it is. So I ended up
Hmm.
walking up the steps. It was the fateful night where walk was a little off. I was like, "Oh, I'll probably be fine." Fell face down on the ground, and then
Mm.
what I've never ever done in a fall was I damaged something in my left leg, and then had to get picked up by my neighbor, and then me and him, we always helped each other out, and then he helped
Mhm.
me up, and then at that point, walking unassisted just wasn't a option. So
Mm.
from end of 24 to now, it's been a journey of getting back to just walking long distances and walking as long
Mhm.
as possible. So that's the big thing with how it affects. I mean, left hand and all that, but it's getting back to where I'm functioning, even though body's not functioning as much as I want, as much as I'd like. How can I be the best version of myself? And how
Right.
can I push myself to where, hey, maybe right now I can be the best version of myself and be better than I was even when I was functional and I was 1,000 pound alternate. So adding up your bench, squat, and deadlift, thousand over a
Mhm.
1,000 pounds. So at
Wow.
one point I did that. So when people go, "Oh, hey, like this is amazing," whatever, I'm like, "Hey, like whatever it is physically, I can get it done. I just have to figure out how." Just because I've done a
Right.
lot of crazy physical activities in the past, I'm like, "Hey,
Mhm.
what's the next crazy level that I can push myself at right now?" And it's getting
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
where all that's functioning in pushing myself,
Mhm.
even though I don't believe this will ever happen, get back to where
Mhm.
I'm walking long distances. What is the best level that I can push myself to right now? And what is the extreme that I can push myself at and become a better version than I have in the past, even when I was fully functional?
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, be kind to yourself. You don't want to overdo it. You know what I mean? But I can admire your drive to want to better yourself and to not be defined by the condition.
Right,
And that's most people. When they have some sort of earth shattering or life altering diagnoses, they just kind of give up. It's like someone very close to me was diagnosed with cancer. Is my girlfriend actually, and we were dating about 4 months, and she got diagnosed with breast cancer. So we had a conversation. I said I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to help you through this. So, and having some my knowledge of the surgical realm, I was able to get her in with some good surgeons and some good doctors. And her oncologist at the time was great. She was a breast cancer survivor herself. So, and I said, listen, this is we're going to fight this and we're going to beat it. What I'm trying to say is you have to have the mentality that you have, Michael. Is you have to not give up, because if you give up, then you're just going to not do anything, and everything is just going to you're just going to sit and wither and not fight it.
right,
Because then if you know, it's like movement is medicine, right? So the more you move, the better you feel. Well, just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll pray that you're able to walk unassisted at some time because it's and I hope it works for you. I really do, man. I mean, I think what you're doing is it takes a very special individual to do what you're doing. I have diabetes, right?
Yeah.
So, which affects a lot of people. I had done my blood work because I wanted to see where it was, and it was like, my fasting blood sugar was a 170, and my A1C was like a nine something. So that's pretty bad. I remember I was sitting on my couch, I was eating an Italian sub. My doctor, she was wanting me to get on medication like metformin and all that kind of crap, and I said no. Let me try it with diet and exercise. That same day, I went to the store. I bought a bunch of like healthy food, avocados, like black beans, ground turkey. And I said, this is what I'm going to do. This is the next day I got up, went to the gym at 6 a.m., walked a mile on the treadmill, started lifting weights, started eating right, eating better. And then eating whole foods, healthy foods, a lot of healthy fat. And in that 2 month period, I went down from a nine to almost to like a seven, right? So I dropped the A1C 2 points. But what I'm saying is don't let what happens to you define who you are. You have to find that the drive to not let it do that, right? And that's exactly what you're doing, and that's incredibly admirable. So, but what I mean, let's see. So when you had your fall and you injured your leg, what happened with the leg? Did you break it, or did it what or was it just a muscle injury?
I think it's just a muscle injury, and then just it was just that injury to where muscle wasn't working, some stuff was sore
Mm, yeah.
that at the time I couldn't really make it to the bathroom. I was like, "Hey, this isn't working." Called naturopath I was seeing. Hey, I don't think I'll be in today. Cancel that appointment, just whatever it was. And then older couple at the church that I went to, they gave
Mhm.
me a rollator and a walker. And they're like, hey, maybe this can help you out. I did that. I used the aluminum one just because I could put that around my arm. I carried up the steps, walked to my
Mhm.
apartment, then walked back, and then that was basically how I stayed mobile for a little while, as much as I could, and then moved in with my parents just because how I was with
Well,
everything.
safety.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah, definitely.
the best option. So
And there's no shame in that at all. My stepfather, when he was alive, he died of a massive stroke about 2000. He had some deficiencies in his life. He called it a frozen back. I don't know the full technical term for it, but he couldn't bend at his lower waist. He could only bend at the knees, and he never let it stop him. His knees were worn out. His He was also born with his Achilles tendons were too short. So they did the lengthening procedure, but he was too afraid of the rehab, so contracted because he was afraid of pain, as most people. So he just wore boots with a higher heel. What I'm saying is, no matter what your circumstances are, you can always make it work for you. You living with your folks is it's a safety thing, right? If you fall and in the beginning of this you fell and you really hurt yourself, you have no one to help you. And then it's better to ask for the help, and some people are even afraid to do that. Besides weightlifting and nutrition, what are some of the other things you're doing to help counteract the symptoms?
working on getting sleep because your body heals when you sleep and supplements, and it's just getting my body up to where it was, and then just getting whatever muscles that have forgotten that they're there, getting them to grow to where they have the strength, because everything goes off of strength, and then building up some stamina for the legs to where they can walk. 'Cause back when I lifted, I listened to a guy who's big time powerlifter, and he talked about how your body gets used to whatever it is every 2 weeks you do something. So, and then when I was doing bodybuilding at the time, I was like, "Oh, let's if that works for powerlifting, it can probably work for lifting, and then that was the best that I'd ever seen my body grow. So, and then
Mhm.
I went, "Oh, well, let's apply that to right now rebuilding some muscle up." So, my dad has a elliptical. So, every
Mhm.
single 2 weeks, the distance gets changed on the elliptical. I know last week, because of pretty much all of the work week with the schedule with working out Monday through Sunday. I know last week I worked 1.6 miles overall, and then because 2 times, 3 times around the elliptical track, and then just 1 time just around the elliptical track just to keep everything moving. Because I felt
Mhm.
that walking was a little bit more difficult than it should be,
Mhm.
just between basically having 5 days off from walking. I was like, "Hey, let's just walk a little bit just to keep everything going, get some blood flowing in the legs." And then so this week I'll work on bumping up another half a track and then a little bit more tomorrow just to keep everything going. That's pretty much the big things that I'm doing. And a lot of it's just getting your body up and getting rid of the toxins that cause whatever the MS is, and
Mhm.
then rebuilding back up whatever it is, like just the vitamin D and the melatonin. That's pretty much what I'm doing right now is working out, nutrition, eating clean.
Mhm.
Diet's probably as clean, just about as clean as you can get. Then
Yeah.
going from there, even the coffee that I drink, that's the $30 bag, test for mycotoxins and a whole bunch of other stuff just because that's one more toxin that's a potential problem.
Yeah. No, for sure, and it sounds like it can get a little exhausting at times trying to, and listen, when I told you before, when I was doing the carnivore diet before I started intermittent fasting, it was a challenge to get everything you need out of that diet, and I mean, listen, it works for some people, great for them, but for me, it was just such a limiting factor that by the time, I had my dozen eggs for the day, or you don't want to look at another piece of steak or another egg for the rest of your life. Would something like electrolysis help? Like, like, because I had an issue in my back because I have degenerative disc disease in my spine. So the muscles around my spine in the thoracic region are weak, right? So and I had this just like this really bad knot somewhere in my spine. So I went to an acupuncturist and I had them hook me up to their TENS machine. And and it was like, so they were literally like little cables onto the acupuncture needle, and it was sending these shocks through the body to kind of release. So would that be beneficial for someone with your condition, or would it not?
I believe it would. I see a functional biogenetic nutritionist, and
Mhm.
she basically what she does is she just looks at genetics, and then she has the right training to where she can read all these issues that are going on with your body. And then, hey, you need to bump this, you need to watch out for this, whatever. One of the issues that I'm dealing with right now is my body likes something called oxalates. So if my body has a major oxalate dump, pretty much they can damage your kidneys or a whole
Okay.
bunch of other issues. So
Mhm.
because of that, we're being careful with what I'm doing. But if you can
Mhm.
find somebody who knows what they're doing and they can stimulate those muscles, yeah. It's not that the muscles aren't there. It's just that
Mhm.
your body's forgotten to use them. And
Okay.
if you
Yeah. I mean, 'cause yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, if you can get it to where you can get something to stimulate those muscles, to where there gets to
Mhm.
be some activity there, to where those muscles can start functioning again, then yeah, I would say definitely go for it because it may take you a while with weights and whatever to get to where
Mhm.
you start using those muscles. If you can jump that and get that to where your body starts using those muscles again, yeah, go for it.
If the body forgets to use the muscle, it would make sense that you want to stimulate it in some way to make it to where it's actually not going to atrophy. That would be a huge thing for people that have this condition to because the one that I got is a little one, right? And it's just got little stickies, and you just stick it on the muscle group. There's different frequencies that you can use, and it'll contract the muscle, release the muscle. Because I have atrophy in my left leg because I have an ACL injury that I had fixed, and my calf was like, I don't know, like a quarter of the size of my right, and so I started using a TENS machine on that, and I could feel those pathways of the nerve like opening up. Now, that was when I wasn't working out. Now that I'm working out, I use calf machines and calf raises and all that to stimulate the muscle, But I was also babying the leg because of the ACL. It's like it's got terrible arthritis in it in the knee and all that. That's just my problems. Let's talk about resources for people that have this. What kind of resources are out there for people that are looking for the alternative path? Where did you start digging to find the homeopathic way?
So, I mean, journeys changed some that are pretty much done if somebody goes, "Oh, I think this could be helpful." If I could get it and use it, I've done it just because I'm like,
Mhm,
"Oh," if somebody goes, "Oh yeah, this has been amazing for me." I'm like, "Oh, well, let's try it out and let's see what's there,"
mhm,
just because a lot of the times you don't know until you actually do it. So just because of that, I've done a lot of different stuff. And some of it's great, and then some of it I'm like, yeah, like that might have worked if I had done it for a long time. For a
mhm,
while, a podcast called The Better Health Guy, I listened to that. And
mhm,
then, I mean, I've seen a bunch of alternative doctors, and pretty much whatever they said you should do, I did. And then I was like, hey, I'm seeing you, I'm paying you. I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna do whatever you say. I'm gonna do
yeah,
as much as I can because at some point, like some money was tight, so I wasn't able to do as much as I wanted to. But between that, I always did whatever I could do, and then I
yeah,
just made all that work and then go off of that. And then so better help guy, that could be helpful just because MS is such a tricky thing that there could be multiple root causes that you're working on, or maybe it's just one. I like to talk
you're right.
about, yeah, imagine a door with a lot of locks on it and you're
Mhm,
just sticking keys into the locks, then maybe when you hit the right lock, the door opens up,
mhm.
things will change, but you kind of have to figure things out and then try out a whole bunch of different keys to figure out what's actually what can actually help you out because you don't know which one's going to open up the door.
It's just finding out what's gonna work for you and what's gonna get you to a stage of where you can be functional, and the problem is that and here's a thought. The thing that I'm noticing is that I think a lot of this natural stuff that we wanna use, like, I started going to Ways to Well. At this point in my life, I'm almost 50, and I have such a huge distrust of general practitioners, and so I wanted to take control of my own health. So I started going to Ways to Well, right? I sent them my blood work, and then we got a plan, I've implemented that plan, and it's helping. I feel different. I feel better, without taking the crap that the medical industry or the pharmaceutical industry wants to shove down your throat. So, but on the same side of that, I think that a lot of this naturopath stuff is suppressed information. They don't want us to have it. And I know that might sound a little conspiracy theory, but that's fine, well and good. But that's how I feel about it. We'll use ivermectin for an example. Like, why wouldn't they look at it and say, we'll just write it off as a horse dewormer when it's a parasite cleanse,
Right.
and it's a cheap, effective way of doing it. Do you think that there is a suppression of homeopathic remedies?
If you look at something like Chinese medicine. They didn't know
Mhm.
what MS was, but they had a treatment for that in ancient China.
Mhm.
And
Right.
just that there's doctors who are having success with treating different different issues, whatever it is, but because it's outside the medical system, and something like cancer, that's like $100 billion industry. So
Yeah. Exactly.
there's way too much money behind it to kill it off because
Mhm. Yeah.
Rockefellers and then whoever else, the same guys who are
Mhm.
making your sunscreen will have cancer causing stuff that are in it, that they're the same guys who make chemo treatments. So
Right. Well, yeah, and then I was talking to a surgeon one time when we were doing a breast cancer case, and we were talking about um chemo. She goes, "Chemo causes cancer." And I'm like, this is the first time I've heard this. I was in my early 20s when I started off as a scrub tech, and I'm like, speaking of my good ear, you said what? The alleged treatment for cancer causes cancer. I'm like, what? That makes. I was like, you know what? I'm going to paint a wall before I build it.
and if
You
you
know, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense.
and if you
Yeah,
really listen to people who talk about chemotherapy, all chemotherapy
yeah.
does is shrink your cancer down so that they can't read it. And then everybody always wonders why, oh, I was clean for 10 years and then all of a sudden it comes back. No, it was always
Because
there.
it,
They just couldn't
yeah, it
read
just
it.
never went away. And that's why they don't say cure. That's why they say remission, because it never goes away. So I think that there needs to be, like I said before, and I said it in this episode, there needs to be a systemic overhaul of a lot. And I think it's going to slowly get there. We're seeing changes in treatment for diabetes. We're seeing changes in treatment for cancer. Hopefully we're going to find something that's going to like help all this. But yet again, with ivermectin, as long as the FDA stays the fuck away from it, I think it'll be okay. But the moment that they can label it a drug, you know how back in the day they said Cheerios lowered cholesterol? That's why they took it off the box, right? Because only a drug can do that. You can't say it does this because we need it for our medication to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's
FDA is corrupt AF.
oh yeah, of course. It's like, well, they get half of their annual budget, probably more now, from pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
So I mean, hello, conflict of interest, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you pay the FDA a lot of money. The FDA will approve
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have to worry if the FDA wants to, even if the FDA approves you, if the FDA decides to step in at some point, if it hurts another money making thing,
Mm.
no, but
Yep.
we're taking it off the market. That's not, that's banned. You can't get it. All that. There was a
Mm-hmm.
peptide that was linked to helping out people with MS. And then because the FDA didn't make enough money off of it, or they couldn't, or whatever it was, that peptide was taken off the market.
Mm-hmm.
And that peptide was really helpful because the one functional doctor I was seeing, she had me on it. And then when the FDA took it off the market, she was like, look, I bought I bought a whole bunch of it, and you can use it as long as I have it, but when we're out, we're out. And then used it for as long as I could, and then that was pretty much it when it was done.
Did that peptide, did it improve your symptoms?
Yeah, I did.
Is it significant, or was it?
It it was pretty significant. So I used to smoke cigars. At one point, there was twice I smoked. And then it just felt that, like, the left side of my body wanted to fall off. The doctor was the oversight. The nurse was somebody who basically ran everything. We were using a peptide, and then within maybe 2 or 3 sessions, it felt like my left side didn't want to fall off anymore.
Huh. It was doing something, and something. productive. We can say it's just this country, but I'm sure it's other places too where there's this level of, I don't want to call it corruption, but definitely malfeasance. They don't have our best interest.
There's ethical and there's unethical, and
Yeah,
we
exactly.
start bridging into the unethical.
Right. And that's where we're at because they don't care. It's like they want us sick. I just read something recently and everybody's talking about AI is going to take over everything. And it's like, so what? If AI takes my job and I can't afford to pay for my DR Horton house that was just hastily put together, I can't pay for food, consumerism will die. Then what are they going to do? Like, are the 10 trillionaires in the world, are they going to support everything? Probably not. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things that need to be worked out, and I don't know. I'm old as shit, so I don't know if it's ever going to be done in my lifetime or not. But I hope there's something out there that's going to change soon, and we can actually find a way to be healthy individuals without being poisoned by our own food
Yeah.
and our medicine. So when people come on my show, I have 3 questions for them. So the first question for you is, what makes you who you are, like level of perseverance in your spirit? What what do you feel gives you that?
Whoever listening to this, that it's the experiences and it's what you're willing to put yourself through to develop. It's making it so that you're willing to endure through whatever is going on. It's created certain strengths that are pretty much with everybody, whatever it is in
Mm-hmm.
life, the good, the bad, whatever. Very few things come easily. And that all comes through effort and learning, and if that it's being willing to put yourself through uncomfortable situations, that's the
Yeah.
real blessing of going to the gym, is you get to put yourself through something that's difficult, and then that
Mm-hmm.
builds on every other area that's in your life, and that actually builds something to where when the hurricane hits, you're able to withstand it because you've been through so much other shit. You go, hey, I can make it through this and I can survive through whatever life is going to throw at me.
Right. Yeah. And then the next question is, you're about to shove off the mortal coil and go to the next life. What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for, I mean, the most important thing is the that I was a Christian, that I had faith in God, but also I I stood and that I made the most out of this life, and I ran the race as well as I could, and the gas tank, it's on empty because I gave everything that I could and I didn't leave anything that's in the tank.
Yeah. And then the last question is, what makes you happy?
I What makes me the happiest is really pushing myself and finding what more is there. It's
Hmm.
after the workout, it's, "Hey, did I really push myself?" That the other day, I did not feel that there was that much energy. I felt like maybe that I really was holding myself back. I don't think I pushed myself as hard as I could. So let's add an
Hmm.
extra rep because I know I can get in more on these last 2 exercises. Let's actually finish this
Hmm.
out as strong as I can.
Yeah. Nice. So, well, man, I gotta say, thanks for coming on. You're an inspiring individual, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. I think you're going to achieve a lot. So, also, if people want to find you to talk to you, where can they reach you?
The best places to reach me is it's social media, so that's probably where I'm the most active. If you send me an email, it might be a month before I see your email if I ever see it at all.
Right.
So I tell people, hey,
Yeah.
reach out to me on social media. So find me Michael Villines, or on Instagram I'm Michael J Villines, or anybody can reach out and let's have a conversation.
Nice. All right, man. Yet again, thanks for coming on, and bye, everybody.